G'day race fans, in this video I am removing the interior of the BRZ to facilitate the fitment of the AGI 4-point roll cage. Details next. I'm Mark Louth from Black Dog Motorsport, and if you or someone you know has the black dog chasing them, there are some links in the description which you may find useful. Okay, let's do this. The first thing, and I mean the absolute first thing that you need to do, is to disconnect the battery. And the second thing you absolutely must do is to make absolutely sure the battery is disconnected. Why? This little sucker. For those of you who didn't know, there is in fact an airbag fitted to the seats, and if you go and try and disconnect the wiring with power connected, there is a chance, admittedly it's a very small one, but a chance nonetheless that you could inadvertently set off the airbag, and that would be really bad. Also, if the ignition was to be turned on with your wiring harness to the seats disconnected, it would trigger a fault code and the accompanying warning light on the dash, and if you don't happen to have a scan tool with the ability to reset fault codes, it's off to the mechanic you go with your credit card to get it reset. I will show you a mod to prevent that from happening later on, but for now, just disconnect the battery. Using safe practices, jack up the car and place it on stands and remove the panels on the underside of the car, the ones from about the front seat back towards the rear of the car. Once that's done, we can start on the interior. I started on the front seats, but where you start is entirely up to you. Slide the seat all the way forward and remove the two bolts that fix the rear of each seat slide to the floor of the car. Once you've done this, you can then slide the seat all the way to the rear and do the same with the bolts on the front of the rails. Using the adjuster, allow the seat back to come all the way forward, depress the clip on the top of the seat and remove the headrest. Gently tilt the seat back as far as it will go, paying very particular attention to the wiring loom that goes into the base of the seat. You don't get a lot of movement there before it goes tight. So once you've got it back, disconnect the three plugs and carefully cut the electrical tape holding the loom to the seat. And once you've done that, just remove the seat from the vehicle. Rinse and repeat for the other side. Next on the list is the rear seat cushions. Undo the retaining bolt, lift the front of the cushion up while pressing down at the rear and it will come out. And this here is the retainer that the rear seat cushion hooks into. These arrows are pointing to the bolt holes that fasten the rear seat backrest into the car. In order to get easy access to them, it is advisable to remove the rear trim side panels, which is actually a lot easier than it looks. However, there is an order of operations to follow. Step 1 is to remove the side panels in the boot by easing out the press clips. Don't forget this little bugger here that hides in each end of the boot scratch guard. Step 2 is to remove the scratch guards on the sills and the sill to floor trim piece by pulling them straight up, trying not to put too much of a bending moment on the trim, otherwise it'll crease it and blech. Move along from one end to the other and don't use any levers as it's not necessary and you run the very real risk of either scratching your paint or snapping off the retaining clips. They're plastic after all and are not designed to withstand shearing loads or large linear loads. Step 3 is to remove the side panels by pushing the panels towards the middle of the car. Once again, push as close as you can to the retaining clips to minimise the bending moment as shown here. The only externally visible retaining clip is this one here, and you will require a screwdriver or something similar to remove it. Now remove the piece from the car and check to make sure all of the retaining clips are still installed in the back of the trim piece, as they can fall off. This will now give you the required access to the 3 retaining bolts on each side, and once you have undone those, the backrest will come out. If it doesn't, make sure the buttons on the top for the folding mechanism have been disengaged. Once you have the backrest out of the car, gather up all of your bolts from all of your seats and put them in clearly labelled containers and store them away. The instructions now call for the carpet to be folded in towards the centre of the car or removed entirely. To remove the carpet entirely, you will need to remove the centre console, and at this point I haven't decided which way I'm going to go. So I will go and get the cage components and have a bit of a play around and decide which way is more user friendly and, just as importantly, less likely to result in accidental damage and scratches. Now, owing to the fact that that would be about as entertaining to watch as watching grass grow or paint dry, I'm going to end this one here. If you would like to be notified when the next instalment is out, please consider subscribing and ring the notification bell. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.